Alright, so yeah, we're on week 25. Please remember again, answer the attendance question in Google Classroom. And if you can log into Nearpod right now. And just a quick reminder, go ahead and turn in the assignment, which was the week 25 Common Lit, How Jackie Robinson Changed Baseball, okay? Okay, so our objectives, we will analyze how archetypes and drama affect the plot of plays. We'll analyze differences in the characters' moral dilemmas in works of fiction across different countries or cultures. We'll evaluate the connection between forms of narration, okay? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm having trouble with my connection. Okay, so today we will be covering Fences. So right now we're going to see Fences is a small is a play that connects with Jackie Robinson of what we already covered, okay, in the past or on Monday. So this is going to be a quick summary on what Fences is about, okay, and then we'll go further more into detail when I provide you with the excerpt that I have for you, okay. So here is the summary video.
A large, thick black man of 53 years, and his longtime friend, Bono. The year is 1957, and the two are garbage collectors that have come to Troy's yard on Friday, payday, to talk and drink. We learn that Troy is a hard worker, and that he used to be a talented baseball player. Troy's wife, Rose, comes out as she's preparing supper, and tells Troy that their son Corey is being recruited by colleges for football. Troy is skeptical. Troy's other son from a previous relationship, Lyons, comes by to borrow money. Troy is also skeptical of his pursuit of music. In scene 2, Rose is singing about Jesus as a fence that protects her. Troy joins her for breakfast and complains that Corey is at football practice instead of helping him build a fence around the yard. Gabriel, Troy's younger brother, shows up and tells them that he found his own place. Gabriel was injured in World War II, and he now believes that he is the angel Gabriel. He carries a trumpet with him and a basket of fruit that he sells for a living. We learn that Troy was only able to afford the house they live in because of money Gabriel got for his injury. In scene 3, Troy and Corey cut wood for the fence. Corey mentions baseball, and Troy talks about how teams don't play their colored players. Corey mentions some black players who do play, and Troy tells Corey that he hit 7 home runs off at Satchel Paige in the Negro Leagues. Troy tells Corey he must quit football so he can focus on his job and school. They argue. Corey leaves and Rose enters. She tells Troy to let up on him and reminds him that the world is different than it used to be and that he doesn't need to be so hard on his son. In scene 4, it's Friday again. We learn that Troy has been promoted to truck driver at his work. Lyons comes over to pay Troy back, but he won't accept the money. Troy tells him about his youth, and we learn that Troy went to prison for 15 years, which is why he never got the chance to play pro baseball. He had a hard youth, and his father was abusive. Corey comes home upset because Troy has told his coach that he can no longer play football. Act 2 begins with Corey telling Rose he's not quitting the football team. Troy bails Gabriel out of jail, where he had been due to charges of disturbing the peace. Troy and Bono saw wood for the fence. Bono hints that he knows Troy has been cheating with a woman named Alberta, and warns Troy not to mess things up with Rose. Troy agrees that Rose is a good woman, but admits that he is seeing Alberta. We learn that Rose wanted the fence around the yard. Troy tells Rose that he and Alberta are expecting a baby. They fight. Troy grabs Rose roughly, and Corey walks in. Corey attacks Troy, and Troy warns him off. In scene 2, it's 6 months later. Troy still lives with Rose and gives her his paychecks, but he doesn't come home after work. We learn that Troy signed papers to commit Gabriel to an institution and gets half his money. Alberta successfully delivers the child, but she dies during the birth. Troy rages at death, telling it to stay on its side of the fence. Scene 3 shows Troy coming home with his infant daughter, Raynell, and asking for Rose's help. Rose agrees to take care of her, but says that Troy is now a womanless man. In scene 4, it's 2 months later. Lyons is helping Corey find a job. Rose is going to a church bake sale, and Bono is hanging out with other workers. Troy is isolated, continuing to do his job of truck driving in a white suburb, and has nobody left to talk to when he is home. We learn that he has finally finished his fence. Troy and Corey get into an argument, and Corey threatens Troy with his own bat. Troy takes the bat away and gets ready to swing, but stops himself and tells Corey to get out. In scene 5, it's 1965, and Troy is dead. Raynell is growing a garden, impatient for it to flourish. Corey is in the Marines, while Lyons is in prison. Both men are home for Troy's funeral. Corey tells Rose that he won't go to the funeral because he needs to get out from under Troy's shadow. Gabriel comes over ready to blow his horn. He says he's going to tell St. Peter to open the gates for Troy. As the title of the play implies, there are many literal and figurative fences in the play. For example, there's the fence that Troy builds around his yard to keep things out that might threaten his family. Also, there are the fences in prison that kept Troy confined. These fences represent the invisible barriers that have kept Troy from getting beyond the life that his father created for him, and those that his own sons struggle against. Finally, there are the gates of heaven that may open for Troy, which represents the only way out of the confinement of his life. August Wilson's play, Fences, tells the story of Troy Nexon, an African-American garbage collector and ex-convict who once had a promising future in baseball. His circumstances as a youth led him to prison, after which he settled down with Rose and made a family. He's building a fence around his yard to keep this family safe, but it figuratively threatens to confine his family to the same fate.
Okay. Okay, so if you notice, the play is called Fences, and they kept mentioning fences a lot, right, in this summary video. So based on the analysis in this video, what do the fences represent? Think about how they meant fences, literal or figurative, and figurative language. So what do the fences represent? Remember, they mentioned the fences in prison, the fence that they wanted, that Rose wanted Troy and Corey to build for her, for the house, and also the gates of heaven was represented as a fence. So what do they mean by by the fence? What does the fence represent? The fence symbolizes as what? So whoever's logged into Nearpod, go ahead and answer this question, or you can put it in the chat or unmute yourself. So what do the fences present or represent? So the play is called Fences, and there's a reason behind that. Why is it called Fences? Because we know that there's a lot going on in this play. We have Troy being so controlling against Corey and him not wanting to succeed in sports, right? So, and then we also have Rose wanting Corey and Troy to build a fence for her, for their home. So is a fence a good thing or is it a bad thing? What do you think? Also, they did mention the example in prison. So again, just think about the actual fences or the figurative language that it is for the fence. Okay, we can say that prison, when there is a fence around them, it's to keep them from avoiding the real world, right? They're trapped in there in prison. And then if you go to a home like where Rose wanted a fence, so Rose wanted them to build a fence. We can say to keep intruders from coming in, or for her family from going out, right? And it could be a good thing or a bad thing, because a good thing would be avoiding any bad conflict or any problems that maybe Troy faced when he was younger. So Rose doesn't want Corey to face that. And then also leading to the gates of heaven. The fence is there, opens up for Troy when he passes away, right? Because the video did say, and we know that Troy passed away from a heart attack. Okay, and then finally the gates of heaven did open up for him. So that is the third representation of the fence. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. Okay. So right here, I just want to remind you, keep in mind the dramatic elements that we have covered already, okay? For this game. And if you are not participating in your pod, you can write it in the chat or you can unmute yourself, okay? Okay, so those of you that are in your pod, go ahead and connect. Okay, we have one. And again, remember your names are not showing. You need one more person. Okay, we have the other. And again, if you're not in your pod, you can unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat, okay, for the correct answer. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, second question. So a conversation between characters in a literary work, a dialogue can contribute to characterization, create mood, advance the plot, and develop. Next question. The central message, meaning, or moral of a work of literature, often expressed as a general statement about life. Again, think back on the dramatic elements when we're reading a play. Okay? A long speech by a character who is alone on stage or is under the impression of being alone, it reveals the private true thoughts and feelings of that character. Okay. Alright, awesome. Okay, thank you for your answers. Let's move on. And again, that's covering the dramatic elements, okay, when we're viewing the play. So now, I do have a Fences excerpt, and we'll be reading the excerpt on Fences, okay? So right now, if you notice, it's posted on Google Classroom. Let's go to Google Classroom. Okay, and here it is. If you don't have it open, go ahead and open it. And let's go to this document. Okay, I'll wait a little bit just so y'all can open up this document. Okay. So just to set the scene here, we're going to be covering Act 1, Scene 1, okay? So as we know, it's year 1957, and I'm going to be covering the characters. So we have Corey Maxon. He's a senior in high school, and Corey gets good grades. College recruiters want to come see him play football, and we know that Corey is a respectable son, right? He does not cause any trouble. He is very respectable. But we have Troy Maxon, which he's 53 years old, and he is a father to Corey. And we know that he is a garbage collector, so that's his job, right? So he is the husband to Rose, and we know that he was a former baseball star in the Negro Leagues. Okay, so if that sounds familiar, remember we covered when we covered Jackie Robinson, he was part of the Negro League. Okay, so then, and that is a professional baseball league. And then we have Rose Maxon. This is Troy's wife, and this is Corey's mother. Okay, so then it leads to Jim, which Bono is Troy's friend. He is also a garbage collector, and he's been friends with Troy for over 30 years, so he's a very good friend of his. And then we have Leon, which this is Troy's oldest son, but by a previous marriage, so it is not her Rose's son. Okay. So in the Act 1, Scene 1, the setting is set in a dirt yard in front of the Maxon house, in front of Troy and Rose's house. Okay, so it is a 2-story brick house. So I want you all to picture this. It's a 2-story brick house set off of a back alley. Okay, so let's picture there's 2 chairs, junky chairs, sitting in the front porch, right? And the house and the porch is in need of a bad paint job. Okay, so that house is needing some work on it. So all this seems to communicate with the Maxons that the Maxons aren't exactly the richest people, right? And again, picture this, and it reminds us that money is a concern for Troy and his family. Okay. So then the summary on Act 1, Scene 1 before the excerpt, because we do have this excerpt, and it is in the middle of Scene 1. However, before this excerpt, it's a Friday, and it's Troy and Bono's payday, right? Because they're both garbage collectors. So their responsibilities as garbage collectors are done for the day, and they go to Troy's house and they go drinking because they have a weekly ritual where they always drink every week. Okay, because I mean it's payday, it's Friday, right? They want to enjoy their time off and when they're not working anymore. So they catch up on each other's lives, they share a lot of stories, and there's a conversation where Troy is explaining about a complaint that he confronted Mr. Rand, and Mr. Rand is their boss of the garbage company. So his complaint is why black employees aren't allowed to drive the garbage trucks, because the garbage driver is a white person, and Bono and Troy are in the back of the garbage truck, right? They're the ones that are lifting the garbage up from the trash cans. So Troy wants to bring up that complaint, and he wants to become a driver himself, right? Because he wants better for him and his family, okay? So then after that, the conversation changes, and Bono asks Troy if he's having an affair with a girl named Alberta, because they were one time at a bar, and Troy bought Alberta some drinks. Okay, so once they're talking about this and they're conversating about this, shortly after, Rose comes out of the house to tell Troy and Bono that Corey has been recruited. Okay, so he has been recruited, and there are some recruiters that want to see Corey play. Okay, so then it leads on to this excerpt. So it's going to be Troy, Rose, and Bono. Okay, so can I have one volunteer? And Miss Salinas, can you please help me reading and being acting out Rose's lines, please? And I need one more volunteer to be Bono. Any volunteers? I can be Troy. We just need one more.
We're looking at you, Kevin.
Kevin, you want to take the Bono? It's just a couple of lines. It's not a lot. Alright. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so Troy, hands in the bottle. The only thing I say about the A&P is I'm glad Corey got that job down there. So let me stop real quick. A&P is a grocery store. Just so y'all know, okay? It's a grocery store that Corey got a job at, okay? So I helped him take care of his school clothes and things. Gabe done moved out and things getting real tight around here. He got that job. He can start to look around himself. He can look out for himself.
Corey done went and got recruited by a college football team.
I told that white boy about that football stuff. The white man ain't gonna let him go anywhere with that football. I told him when he first come to me with it. Now you come telling me he done win and got more tied up in it. He has to go and get recruited how to fix cars or something where he can make a living.
He ain't talking about making no living playing football. It's just something the boys in school do. They're gonna send a recruiter by to talk to you. He'll tell you he ain't talking about making no living playing football. It's an honor to be recruited.
It ain't gonna get him nowhere. Well, I'll tell you that. Okay, Kevin, so right here. Okay, awesome, thank you. So, Babe Ruth and Josh Gibson are both baseball players, okay? So, right here saying, Bono saying that there's only two men that ever hit more home runs than you. Because remember, we know that Troy did play in the Negro League, right? He was in the major Negro League. Okay, so what did ever get me? Ain't got a pot to piss in or wood to throw it out of.
Times have changed since he was playing baseball, Troy. That was before the war. Times have changed a lot since then.
How in the hell did it change?
They got lots of colored boys playing ball now, baseball and football.
Okay, Kevin, right here.
Times have changed, Troy.
Yeah, awesome. There are not never have been no time taught too early. Now you take that fellow. What's that fellow that had playing right field for the Yankees back then? You know who I'm talking about. Oh no. Used to play right field for the Yankees.
Selkirk?
Selkirk, that's it. Man batting .269, understand? .269, what kind of sense that make? I was hitting .432 with 37 home runs, man batting .269 and playing right field for the Yankees. I saw Josh Gibson's daughter yesterday. She walking around with raggedy shoes on her feet. And I bet you Selkirk's daughter ain't walking around with raggedy shoes on her feet. I bet you that.
They got a lot of colored baseball players now. Jackie Robinson was the first. Folks had to wait for Jackie Robinson.
I done seen 100 people play baseball better than Jackie Robinson. Hell, I know some teams Jackie Robinson couldn't even make. What are you talking about Jackie Robinson? Jackie Robinson wasn't nobody. I'm talking about if you can play ball when they actually have to let you play. Don't care what color you were, come telling me I come along too early. If you could play, then they ought to let you play. Troy takes a long drink from the bottle.
You're gonna drink yourself to death. You don't need to be drinking like that.
Death ain't nothing. I done seen him. Done wrestled with him. You can't tell me nothing about death. Death ain't nothing but a fastball in the outside corner. And you know what I'll do to that? Looky here, Bono. Am I lying? You get one of them fastballs about waist high over the outside corner of the plate where you can get the meat of the bat on it, and good God, you can kiss it goodbye. Now, am I lying? Okay, so right here, what he's talking about, a fastball on the outside corner. So he's referring to baseball, right? It's a baseball metaphor. So, to get a better understanding, let me show you a picture on how this works. So, right here is the strike zone in baseball. Okay, so here's an example. So he wants to hit. He mentioned a fastball in the outside corner. So a fastball is just a straight ball, just how you throw it. Because there's a fastball, there's a curveball, there's changeups, there's different types of pitches. So the outside corner. If we have this batter, he's a left-handed batter. We have right here. This is called the inside, and over here it's called the outside because it's more further towards you. It's more outside towards you. So what Troy mentions, outside corner. So he wants the fastball right here, right where the mouse is. And this right here is the meat of the bat. So just imagine when he swings, he's gonna swing like this, in this motion, and boom, right here, he's gonna hit it right there, right? So that's what he's referring to. Because I mean, once you get the meat of the bat, that's a home run, right? That's what you want, okay? So that's that saying that Troy is referring to. Okay, Kevin, so right here.
Man, you telling the truth there. I saw you do it.
If I'm lying, that 450 feet worth of line, that's all death is to me. A fastball in the outside corner.
I don't know why you want to get on talking about death.
Ain't nothing wrong with talking about death. That's part of life. Everyone's gonna die. You're gonna die. I'm gonna die. Bone's gonna die. Hell, we're all gonna die.
But you ain't gonna talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Miss Salinas. Kevin, thank you so much. Okay, so right here. Now, I mean, we know how Troy is because, I mean, he does not want Corey to be successful in sports because he did not have his chance, right, in his times. So, right here, you're going to have some assessment questions. And let's go over them really quick. So, number one, what sport is Corey recruited to play in college? Number two, why didn't Troy get to play in the major leagues? Number three, according to the play, what does Rose think about sports in regard to Troy? Number four, what does Troy think about Corey playing football? And the fifth one, what metaphor does Troy use for death? What might it mean? Okay? So there's those assessment questions. And let's go back to Nearpod. Okay. Also, I want to remind you, if you do need like an audio, I did provide it in Google Classroom. I have it right here. So I provided it. And this excerpt that we just read right now it starts at 9:37 and goes through 13:19. Okay, so if you open it here,
God.
so let's go to 9:37 and we're gonna see where it starts.
And if you ever turn the bottle loose, Troy hands in the bottle. The only thing I say about the A&P is I'm glad Corey got that job down there. Help him take care of the school closing.
Okay, so that's if you do need an audiobook, it is there. I provided there in Google Classroom. Okay, so again, if you want to go back into Google Docs and you can play that YouTube video if you like. Okay, and also if you want to see, maybe you want to see a trailer on Fences, because Fences is a movie they made in 2016. And if you want to go ahead and look at that, you can go ahead and look at that. So let's choose this one just to get a feel on how the movie will look like, okay?
When I first met this woman, I saw Rose and I latched on to her.
So that's Troy and Rose.
I told her, baby, I don't want to marry. I just want to be your man. Rose told me,
I told him if he wasn't a mankind, he'd move out the way so the mankind could find me.
that's what she told me. You're in my way, you're blocking
And that's Bono.
me. Move out the way so I can find me a husband. Wait, Corey. I want him to help me with this fence.
He got recruited by a college football team.
It ain't gonna get him nowhere.
That's Corey.
With the sports, he gonna be all right. Hey, but two men never played baseball good as you. And what did it ever get me? I ain't got a box to piss in or a window to throw it out of.
Hey, Pop, can I ask you a question? How come you ain't never liked me?
What law is that say I got to like you. A man is supposed to take care of his family. You live in my house, fill your belly with my food, put you behind on my bed because you're my son. Now don't you go through life worrying about whether somebody like you or not. You best be making sure they're doing right by you. Corey just trying to fill out your shoes. I don't want him to be like me. I want him to get as far away from my life as he possibly can get. You the only decent thing ever happened to me, Rose.
You can't be nobody but who you are, Troy. That's all you got to measure yourself against the world out there.
Rose, I got something to tell you. I don't know how to tell you this.
Why, Troy? Why?
You ought to know it's time.
I don't want to know that.
But you ever give me your feet, them bones, and pumping hard? You never done nothing but hold me back and afraid I was gonna be better than you.
Everything that boy do, he do for you.
It's not easy for me to admit that I've been standing in the same place for 18 years.
Well, I've been standing with you. I got a life too. Don't you think I had dreams and hopes? What about my life? What about me? What are you gonna do?
Some people build fences to keep people out, and other people build fences to keep people in.
Okay, so there it is. And I mean, it's a movie by Denzel Washington, and you can't go wrong with Denzel. So, if you want to see, there are also clips, and there is an actual play if you like to watch it also. So, here is the play, and there's this play right here. So it's the actual play. They're acted out. Okay. So let's go back to our Nearpod, and again, I just wanted to provide you with these resources if you like to continue with the scenes. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. Okay, so now let's compare the challenges that Jackie Robinson faced now to Troy's experiences. So what is the reason of Troy's hate toward Major League Baseball? So remember, we covered Jackie Robinson, and now we knew his struggles and we knew his experiences now, right? So now let's compare it to Troy's experiences, or what we just read right now. So what is the reason of Troy's hate towards Major League Baseball? So you can go ahead and answer in your pod, unmute yourself, or you can answer in the chat. Okay. So what is the reason why Troy hates Major League Baseball? Because we do know that, remember, he was in the Negro Leagues. Now we do know Jackie Robinson was also there, right, when he started. But we do know that Jackie Robinson advanced to the Major Leagues, right? He went to the Major League Baseball. So what is the reason why Troy hates Major League Baseball? So go ahead and put in the chat, unmute yourself, or you can put it in your pod. Again, don't worry, your names are hiding if you are logged into Nearpod. So what do y'all think? Let's compare Jackie Robinson to Troy. They're both baseball players, but there's a difference why Troy hates Major League Baseball. Now, do you think because he wasn't too good for them, he wasn't too good to advance to Major League Baseball? Or do you think because the person who he was? Or because of his attitude? What do y'all think?
I think that Troy hates Major Baseball's nothing.
Yeah, he hates the Major League Baseball because remember he was talking so bad about it. He was talking about how Josh Gibson and Babe Ruth, remember when he was comparing his batting average to them? And also Selkirk?
Mhm.
So do you think he hates it because he couldn't advance because he was African American? Do you think that, Kevin?
I think so. I mean, it doesn't matter about the race. I mean, anyone can play baseball.
Yeah. Today, anyone can play now, right? But at that time, in that era, that was an issue. So there was a Negro League and there was a Major Leagues, right? So just like Jackie Robinson, he was the first African American to advance to Major League Baseball. But because Troy wasn't able to do that, that's why he has hate towards Major League Baseball, right? Because of the time that they were facing, okay? So that was the reason why Troy hates it, okay? Okay, so just a quick reminder again, go ahead and complete these assessment questions on the excerpt. Okay, so just 4 multiple choice and 1 written response. And again, I want to remind you real quick again that I did provide the audiobook. Okay, if you want to play it while reading it, or if you want to hear someone reading it. Okay, so that's there for you. And any questions? Kevin, you good? Any questions, Kevin? No questions? Alright, so Kevin, Anna, Maria, and Matthew, thank you so much. So again, just go ahead and complete those assessment questions, and you're all dismissed. Thank you. Bye, Kevin.